So I've been asked the same question by lots of different people recently. What are the best books to read to help someone's understanding of pain and what we can do to help it? Well, luckily for you, I've read around 100 books on pain, and in this video, I'm going to let you know what are the top 5 must-reads from all of those. Hey friends, Mahin here. Welcome back to another video. Today on my top 5 must-reads if you're interested in living with or helping people with pain. 3 of the books in today's video are not even specific to pain, so are really helpful for anyone who's experiencing chronic stress or who has experienced any trauma in their lives. I'm not sponsored by any of these books or receive any financial reward for promoting them, so they really are my top favourite books related to pain. And I've read a lot. So without further delay, let's get into these 5 must-read books. I want to start off with the Bible of Pain Science, Explain Pain Supercharged by 2 neuroscientists, Lorimer Moseley and Dave Butler. Their first book, Explain Pain, is the best-selling pain text of all time, and the supercharged version is a beefed up 2.0 improvement of this. If you want to learn more about contemporary pain science, then you need not look further than this book. Butler and Moseley have a unique way of explaining very complex neuroscience concepts in an easy to understand, and dare I say, fun way. With loads of graphics, cartoons and images to support the narrative, it doesn't feel like a textbook at all. At one point, I was actually reading this book in bed at night. That probably says more about me than the book though. However, this is technically a textbook and the only one in my recommendations, mainly because it doesn't really feel like one. The book is a must for health professionals treating pain and anyone teaching people about pain. It goes deep into the neuroimmune science of pain while providing conceptual change science, applicable educational strategies, therapeutic narratives, and metaphors to use in practice. The only downside is that it is a textbook, and although only 230-ish pages, it can be quite a heavy read despite the author's best efforts to make it not. For this reason, I'd say that this book is more for health professionals helping people with pain or those teaching about pain, rather than people living with pain themselves. Don't worry if you're living with pain though, because this next one is for you. The Pain-Free Mindset is by Deepak Ravindran, a leading NHS consultant in pain, anesthesia, musculoskeletal and lifestyle medicine. I was fortunate enough to meet Deepak on the Flippin' Pain community outreach tour that I took part in last year, and we've developed a friendship from there. Thankfully, I'd already started reading his book before we met, so I can include his book in my must-reads without any bias. The use of mindset in the book's title doubles up as an acronym for medications, interventions, neuroscience and stress management, diet and nutrition, sleep, exercise and movement, and therapies of the mind and body. Dr. Ravindran makes it quite clear that there's no one single cure or fix for pain, and he highlights the importance of understanding our nervous system and the connection between mind and body for long-term management of symptoms. It also helps bust some commonly held myths about pain and why historically it's been so poorly managed. Using the evidence-based strategies outlined in this book with the mindset acronym, you can create your own plan to help you find meaning and return back to the things you love doing so that you can live well with pain. Roughly around 300 pages and packed with real-life patient stories, this is an absolute must if you are living with pain yourself. Is It All in Your Head is by Suzanne O'Sullivan, a consultant in neurology and neurophysiology, who has expertise in working with people with psychosomatic conditions and conditions such as epilepsy. Although not specific to pain, I really found this book useful in understanding the relationship between past trauma, emotion, and physical presentations. Once more, this book is packed with real-life patient stories that I found shocking and at times even difficult to comprehend. There are stories of patients who've experienced stressful or traumatic periods in life and later present with the paralysis of limbs, blindness, and even seizures. One of the main things I took from this book, and an explanation I use with my own patients almost daily, is this. Sometimes our body can't display how it's feeling through emotion, it shows it through physical sensations instead. I think this is a simple yet effective way of explaining to patients who may have experienced chronic stress or trauma in their past how this may be influencing their physical symptoms such as pain. Psychosomatic or medically unexplained symptoms can leave patients feeling dismissed as a hypochondriac or that their symptoms are made up. Every day I hear patients tell me that they were made to believe that the pain is all in their head, which can sometimes even lead to them questioning whether their pain is even real or not. Through learning about patients such as Rachel, a talented young dancer who is now housebound with chronic fatigue syndrome, and Mary, whose memory loss may be her brain's way of protecting her from remembering her husband's abuse, Dr. O'Sullivan explains how it's all in your head doesn't mean that something isn't real, as our body often stands in for the mind when the mind is unable to put words or emotions to its sorrows. Understanding this mind-body connection is absolutely key when working with or living with pain, and for that reason this next book is a must-read as well. The Body Keeps the Score is a New York Times bestseller and probably something you've heard of if you're working with people who've experienced trauma. Bessel van der Kolk, a world-leading expert on traumatic stress, tells us how trauma has a significant effect on the health of individuals and the population at large, making it one of the most urgent public health issues. Dr. van der Kolk offers a new treatment approach, moving away from standard talking and drug therapies, which are often the first-line treatments for trauma worldwide, to an alternative approach focused on treating the mind, brain, and body. I really like this book, filled with powerful case histories, and would say it's a must-read for not only mental health, but all healthcare professionals, those who have experienced trauma themselves, people closest to them, and those who seek solutions to the cycle of trauma and violence in society. Especially as the effects of trauma are so widespread and run deep in society, whether someone's experiencing trauma themselves firsthand or the secondary effects of trauma felt by a partner, a parent, or a child. Why this is relevant to pain is because this explains so comprehensively through storytelling how our life experiences play out in the function of our bodies even years later. I see so many patients who present with chronic pain conditions such as chronic widespread pain and fibromyalgia who have experienced previous trauma in childhood or many years before even developing pain. One of the biggest factors that predisposes someone to developing fibromyalgia is trauma. Gabor Mate is an addiction specialist, psychologist, physician, and researcher who's written numerous books on the connection between mental and physical health and trauma, including the final book in my list of must-reads, When the Body Says No. Mate explains how, when you're unable to say no to pressures in your life, your body does it for you through illness. Many chronic illnesses have been linked to stress caused by our lifestyles, our conditioning as children, and our psychological coping mechanisms. When the Body Says No explores the connection between this stress and chronic conditions. Rather than just occasional external stressful events which are normal, Dr. Mate says that humans in modern society tend to experience chronic stress, which has a devastating effect on our bodies. He argues that much of our chronic stress is subconscious, so we may not even recognize it as stress. This book is particularly important for understanding and helping chronic pain, as it takes a biopsychosocial approach and argues that the biological, psychological, social, and environmental factors are inseparable for a holistic understanding of chronic illness. And we know that this is also the case for pain. Mate argues that modern medicine fails to recognize the devastating effects of chronic stress on our health, in part because of misunderstandings about what stress is and what causes it, similar to pain. But also because modern medicine is rooted in mind-body dualism, meaning that the body and mind are treated as separate entities. He argues that thinking of the mind and body as two separate entities disguises the connection between chronic stress and disease. Finally, the book covers Mate's strategies for developing emotional competence, defined as the ability to deal with emotions in a healthy way to reduce the risk of stress-related disease. If you enjoyed this video, check out this custom playlist that I've made for you that has my most popular videos on understanding chronic pain. Make sure that you're not someone who falls into the common pitfall I talk about in the first video of this playlist. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you on this video.